You may be wondering why I'm sitting in the cargo area of the car instead of in the front seat. Well, that's because as rideshare drivers, some of our trips are about getting items from place to place instead of getting people from place to place. Now, I do a lot of those. There's a radiator shop here in town that has me run parts to local body shops where they're fixing cars that have been in wrecks. I actually kind of like those trips because I get to see the adorable shop dog. There's also a facility just north of here that has parts and service for 18-wheelers, and they provide parts to other service facilities. So I've had to do things like run a box of brake pads out to the eastern part of the state. Now, the first time I had to do this, it was kind of an amusing run, actually. I got called to the emergency room of a local hospital. When I got there, there was a nurse out front, and she handed me an envelope that contained the key to her house, which I was taking to her husband, who had locked himself out. We all had a little bit of a laugh about that, but there was one important point about that trip. She gave me the key in an envelope, and we're going to come back to that at the end of this segment. Now, one of the more interesting trips I had to do, I got called to the airport, and I picked up a young man who had no luggage with him other than a backpack, and he had just flown in from Germany. Now, some people can pack light like that. I don't have that talent. But I asked him about that, and he said all he had in the backpack was a change of clothes and dozens and dozens of USB connectors. He told me he was an international courier, and he was taking the USB connectors to the Mercedes assembly plant near where I live. Problem is, the assembly plant there runs on what's called a just-in-time basis. Parts come right off a truck and onto the assembly line. They don't have a warehouse full of parts. So if a supply chain breaks down and they run out of a part, they have to find a way to get it right away. That's where he comes in. He's an international courier. That year alone, he had been to the United States 8 times and China 5 times. So they run out of the part. Why don't they just put it in a box and send it to the plant? Well, that box would have to sit in customs for a few days. They might have to shut down the production line while they wait on it. That could easily cost them about $1 million a day. It's worth it to Mercedes to spend a few $1,000s to put this guy on the plane at the last minute, fly him across the Atlantic to the United States, and bring the parts in, because he can walk right through the airport with them. By the way, he had until noon the next day to make it to the plant before they shut down the production line. I'm pretty sure he got there. Seems like he had plenty of time. But let's go back to that nurse who gave me the key in the envelope. Why did she put the key in the envelope? Well, that way it would be apparent when the key got to the house if it had been tampered with. Basically, you're giving a total stranger, a rideshare driver, a key to your house. That person could go make a copy of that key, and that way they've got the key to your house, they know where you live. So that was a key step, no pun intended, that was a key step she took to make sure that nothing like that had happened. Now that leads into another thing, which is we rideshare drivers have to go through background checks before we can get on the road. But the thing about a background check is it's like a lot of other security measures or policing work. It's reactive, not proactive. It might be able to give you a little bit of an idea of whether someone's a risk, but it can't predict when someone's going to do something bad, do something wrong. I've been thinking a little bit more about a segment on what we drivers have to go through to be able to get on the road, including those background checks. So click the little wheel to subscribe, and hopefully you'll get a notification when that segment's ready to go. Thanks for watching.